Hi guys, welcome back to my precious garden. It's a garden in southwest of France, so it's an equivalent to zone 9A. I'm trying something a bit different today because I have problem with my computer and hardware and stuff. So I'm trying to film this intro with my phone and maybe the rest with my camera. So we'll see how it goes. The day I'm filming is the 12th of May and so much has changed. All the roses are blooming, some new plants are in, so I can't even think of everything that has changed since last time. So I wonder if I need to make a garden tour, a rose tour, both. If I do both in one video it will be a bit too long, but I need to do something today because as you can see the weather is just gorgeous. Yeah, let me think. So I think I'm gonna try and do both in one and we'll see how it goes. So this is the view, the overview of my garden. So here is the penstemon dark towers. This is a variety of penstemon that you mustn't deadhead because it won't come back. So you just have to leave the spent heads and they will give some nice winter structure and interest. Behind Boscobel you can see some alliums. They grow like by 2-3 blooms, so that was a very nice surprise. But now I'm starting to see other kind of alliums, so like this one, and just have a look at back there, those long stems. These two are alliums. I can't remember the name, I hope I'll find it, but I'm gonna try and insert the name of all the alliums I've planted this autumn, so maybe you'll see and find out which one is which, but this is gonna put on a great show, I'm quite sure. Here is the big sweet rocket that needs some help, and there's a bee in there having fun, and underneath that is the poet's wife that needs some space, and nearby is the rose called Septodile. So here are the huge alliums. There is the climber Mary Delaney. Here I have a dwarf tree that seems dead, and there's a pot with some green there, but I'm not sure if it's from below the graph point or above. And then we have the banana tree waking up, the lavender. There's another allium there, and I have my redwood, something, no, I forgot. I'll insert the name underneath. And on the right there's the rose called Graham Thomas, but it's leaning a lot, so I think maybe next year I should prune it not as hard, because maybe the new stems as they grow a lot they can't stand this, or maybe they need some trellis or something. In this border I also have something that looks like a dead tree, the dwarf cherry tree. There are also some alliums. The first rose is Gabriel oak. And the one behind is Emma Bridgewater. About Gabriel oak, for the moment I can't detect a scent, but that's my nose, that's special. here is the Desdemona rose. And here you have a better look at Emma Bridgewater. Leaning down a bit because of the rain it got, but it's a rose looking quite good, especially for its first season. It's also a first season for Gabriel Oak. Nearby I've added some Scabieusa, and then I have found some pink bidens. Look at these. And I've tried to plant an aubergine, but then I have slugs, so we'll see how it goes. There's a dahlia just there. Let's have a look at which one it is. So this dahlia is called Sweet Love. I bought it in a supermarket, so we'll see how it goes, but I've pre-sprouted it in a pot and it seemed healthy. There's a big allium, an even bigger allium bloom there, and here I've added some snaps that looks like apple blossom ones, and I wanted this color in this bed. Back there in this bed, so you have Desdemona erigeron or erigeron, however you pronounce it, and then you can see some hardy geranium. It was supposed to be sanguineum, but I think it's not. And then there is Virgium Mai Tai, Sweet Rocket, and then there's a basil called Magic Mountains, and the flowers are nice to eat, and it's just beautiful, as you can see. So on its left it's Virgium, and then here it's so we have the green is the hydrangea, but on the right, as you can see, there is a special flower. It's an amaryllis from a previous Christmas, and it's flowering in the garden. I'm amazed. So nearby we have another ranunculus blooming, and on top of that there's a clematis starting, and on the right we have some lupins, some white lupins in bloom. Look at these. So 2 out of 3 bushes are in bloom. So before going into this part, I just wanted to show you underneath Desdemona I've added some Cerinthe. It's the first time. Here you don't see it at its best because there's no sun on it, but as you can see, it's a pollinator magnet. It is beautiful, really, the different tints, the different hues on it. I'm trying to zoom in to show you. Can you see this beauty? So this is the first time, but it won't be the last for sure. And just here we have a grass that I love, and look at it, it is blooming. So that's another view on it, and if we pan on the left, there's my bush that still is green, and then there is some lily. Behind the lily there's a mini pond, and the pink flowers there, it's called Lychnis floscuculi. I'll have to check the English name for that. That was the Latin name. It has been in bloom for weeks, loved by pollinators. And then here, of course, another sweet rocket, but there is also a polymonium. And I've just put another one with darker foliage at a plant fair. That was great. I'm trying to see what to show you. Yeah, this, what seems to be a green bush, it's a heptacodium called Tian Shan, and it's growing quite fast and I'm loving it. It looks very healthy. And behind you can see some roses. This pale pink one is Princess Charlène de Monaco. And behind it, that's nice with my camera, I can zoom in, sorry if I move too much. It's an allium called Mount Everest. It is still quite small, it's supposed to get bigger than that, but from this perspective it looks tall enough. So now let's have a look at what else we have. So if we come back to Emma Bridgewater near the Desdemona, and then we have a fern that is not hidden enough from the sun yet. I'm hoping that the rose bush will hide it. And then here in this container, completely closed, there's a plant that you need to be very careful with. It's Houtunia, and this can be an invasive plant, so you have to be cautious on where you plant it. So back there is another foxglove. This one is a cream color one. Just in front here there's another penstemon dark towers. Last year I bought one plant and divided it, and so this year I have quite a few. So on this side I have a bleeding heart that I bought this year at the supermarket, and it was already an amazing size for the price. Lots of flowers on it, and I did something silly. I take out all the spent blooms. But if you want baby bleeding hearts everywhere, you need to leave the spent blooms. So thankfully I have still 2 hanging on, and I won't take these out, and I'm hoping that maybe I'll get some little seedlings. Here I have this viburnum, and I have the big aphid colony on there, thanks to ants. But I'm really hoping that the birds I have in the garden will take care of them, because on some stems they did, or someone did. But I've noticed a few days ago that I have a great tit nest in my garden, and I have babies already, so I'm just glad for that. So in a few minutes it will be the time where the baby asks for being fed out there in the garden. Behind me, so that's a nice view too. There's a dark euchera with some lupin flowers. And then we're to the Chinese or Japanese dogwood. I really need to find something to make it a bit straighter, because it's a bit too heavy, and then there's the wind, and I just want to keep it safe. And then here, I think this one you call it a California lilac, but this one is pale pink. So I have this one in a pot, and in the front yard I have another one in a smaller pot, but it's small. And there I have some irises that I don't like. They grew out of my flower bed. I didn't know what they were before they started blooming, and I remember them. They look quite okay in the video, but in real life the color doesn't look like this. The yellow is more mustard one. So yeah, I'll try to give them to someone. Then here behind there's this bush that I need to put the name on the screen, that is started blooming. That looks quite nice. And then if I pan down, I have chives that are in bloom, and how pretty is this? Love them. And then on the right I have my baby Amelanchier, serviceberry. And in the pot behind there's a tree. Sorry, tonight I'm forgetting all my names, so it's gonna pop out on the screen. I'm gonna try and show you. So the French name has come back to my head. It's an albizia, so I need to find the English name, but maybe you can recognize it with its first leaves. It's just a twig for the moment, and it's a big tree for my garden, so it's just me having fun growing it for a few years before giving it to someone. So in this flower bed on the left of the chives back there, I've added some dahlia, and here there's a black dahlia too. This one is called Tropican Black, and the one on the left is called Féline Yvonne. So that will be interesting. It will be its first year in the garden. So if we go back to the dahlia Tropican Black, then behind it we've got two nigella about to bloom. Here we have a courgette that is trying to do something, and then behind it we had a fabulous show of Princess Alexandra of Kent. The blooms were still fabulous. They're just bending down a bit. And so here on the right we go back to the beauty called Princess Charlène de Monaco. So nice. And so Princess Charlène de Monaco, and in front we have a peony that has been divided in autumn, or autumn I think, and I'm waiting on it. I was hearing some noise behind there. It's because there's some comfrey, and comfrey, it's this purple plant, officinal plant, and it's a pollinator magnet. So you can see a bee looking for food on the comfrey. Just be careful, beware, if you try and plant this in your garden, you will always have comfrey in your garden. Maybe you can try and grow it in a pot, but comfrey is something good to have in your garden. And anyway, look at these flowers. They're just so good looking. So now let's have a look at a very different perspective. That's through the nigella, and behind, trying to focus on it, there's Princess Charlène de Monaco that you can see through. And then here there's the clematis, and behind there's the strawberry tree, and then there's this bush. I need to do something about it because it's taking so much space. It's growing on top of Princess Charlène de Monaco, so that's not something I'd like to. It's nice. I mean, the flowers, they look quite nice. They stay for one day and then another one opens, a few other open, but then that's just a few weeks in spring. And compared to roses that bloom for a longer time. Okay, so behind that we have the salvia. This one, I think it was something like pink hot lips or something. And then here is my crepe myrtle. This one is called Berlingot Menthe. I'm happy because it seems to be happy there. And then there's my arch, and on this arch I'm making grow two climbers. Can't see it on the other one. Oh yeah, maybe like there you can see a yellow flower. So on both sides I'm growing a climber from David Austin called the Pilgrim. There's a young bloom there, and the flowers that are so beautiful. I really hope I did take a video of this before the storm. Oh yeah, I think there might be one that I can show you there. Yeah, look at this beauty, it's so nice. So I was filming from this point of view through the nigellas, and behind the nigellas we have a pond, and everything is coming back to life in there. There is a water lily coming up, but only green parts for the moment. No blooms, only leaves. And there's a lily, and then there's a Nyphophia in there. Oh, I also have a dahlia, sorry, somewhere behind this cardboard. It's called Sincerity, and it's beautiful. It's going to be its second season. In front here is a Buddleia. In my garden, it's the end of the iris season, but can you imagine the show it was from my house, having the irises and the sweet rocket and the arch and the birds in the bird feeder. It was so nice. Near the irises I have the rose called Royal Jubilee. It has started blooming a few days ago. I'm gonna try and zoom in. I'm not in a nice position to show you, but you can have an idea. And behind the rose there's this wild oxeye daisy that is lovely. I think it grew because I've just planted a little piece that I found in a car park last year. And look at this! It is so beautiful to have in my garden. I am so glad. And coming back to the rose, and in front there's my lavender. I have two, and I'm waiting, not that patiently, for the blooms, and pollinators just love them. And then yeah, so going back to the irises, we have this one that I love, and there's this bright yellow that I'm, well, let's say okay with. And then if I pan on the right, you can see another rose back there, and that is Strawberry Hill. And Strawberry Hill is just a beauty. Let me show you. So in front there's this Gora, and then there's Strawberry Hill. And look who's growing with it, a clematis. It's not black, it's a dark purple. I bought it in a supermarket like Aldi or Lidl. I'm not really fond of the color, but it goes quite well with the rose. So here we have a Gora, and then the banana tree I was talking about. And then behind is my pear tree. It didn't flower yet, so I don't know if I will have flowers and fruits or not. But then on the right I have a dwarf peach tree. Trying to zoom in slowly. Oh, I can't, I'm too far, but I'm hoping you see some peaches. I'll try another angle. Yeah, you definitely can see some. So you can see some diseased leaves, but it seems it doesn't affect too much the fruits. So this year I decided, yeah, why bother? Here is my rose Graham Thomas. That is just so lovely and packed with future blooms and actual blooms. Here is another view on my, what I think is my dead cherry tree. Sorry it doesn't focus. But then if I zoom out, you'll have a nice overview of my flower bed back there. Sorry for the mess, but focus on the flowers. Near the lavender, quite everywhere in fact, I have some strawberries as a ground cover. And as I said, it's something I would really recommend because you have the fruits and then you have something that can prevent some weeds. So as you can see, I didn't do enough weeding in there, but I have flowers and I have fruits. You have to believe me because this, I'm not far enough to focus, but these are strawberries. Back here you can see the rose I have from Aldi that has gorgeous flowers. Well, I should say it has gorgeous flower because it only produced one last year, but this year I'll have tripled at least the amount, and it looks very healthy now it's in the ground. If I pan on the left, I have some raspberries, just so many coming. I've eaten quite a few already. And then on the left is a Deutzia called Perle Rose, Pink Pearl. So behind my unfocused raspberry, I have another dahlia growing there near the Deutzia. It's one I had last year with pink pom-poms, so I'm waiting for it to grow and flower. This is an overview of my garden. As you can see, I still have lots of flower buds on it. Here down there, there is the poet's wife. Yeah, just there. And I need to do something about this sweet, how do you say, sweet orchid, because underneath is the poet's wife and it needs some room. Here you have Septodile with one being torn by the wind with strawberries underneath it. I have some more there. The Gora has started blooming, so that's nice. The fig tree has finally leaves. Poor fig tree. And back there, the flower you see is the rose Desdemona. Here is my messy fishy pond. Everything has come back. Even the... I always wonder if it's an alocasia or colocasia, but you know, it's the metallica variety. So behind I've planted a peony that didn't make it to bloom this year, so it will be for next year. But look at it, behind it there's the false jasmine that was not agonizing, but something like that. And look, it's coming back to life, new growth, flowers. Impressed. I didn't do anything for this one lately. And just there I have some Japanese anemones. I've tried planting some erigeron I had somewhere else, so we'll see if it comes back. And if I pan this way, behind the oxeye daisies, I have my strawberry hill with the clematis. In front of Desdemona you have the elderberry called Golden Tower, And so here is Desdemona. It has lots of blooms for its second season. Lots of them are spent because of the rain and the wind. But you can see how good they look, and I didn't think I would get so many at the start of the season. I'll do that later on. Here I have some Nigella that is in bloom. This one was the first one. There's some foxglove starting blooming here. Here there's my unknown yellow rose. Oh, this one is spent. Here there's the one called, it's a climber, it's called Mary Delaney. Most of them are spent, but I have one flower bird, two flower birds there. And let's have a look. No, they're all quite spent. This one maybe. So it's a rose where the stem there is literally no thorn on them. It's very impressive. I've never seen that on a rose. In this row I was supposed to have 3 dwarf fruit trees, so now I'm having mostly 2, but I've added some dahlias. So here in the center of the image there's one, and then there's one there, and there are 2 Pineland Princess. Sorry, there are some sparrows around me and I'm trying to focus. And there somewhere I've added a watermelon, and I think it's just there. In this spot I have a lantana that is coming back up, and here I'm not sure if it's a weed or a very interesting plant that has reseeded itself. I had sown and planted some ranunculus, and some of them are blooming, so I'm gonna show you. That's one, and then there's this very interesting one. Look at this. And then nearby there's this one. I think this one was supposed to be called Aviv Purple, and this is not purple, but it's nice. So this is a nice view of Graham Thomas. Can you hear those birds? Strawberries everywhere. So let's come back here and have an overview of this garden bed and enjoy how nice it looks, with some alliums that have popped out, and then the foxglove back there, and all the roses, and I've added some nicotiana there. This is quite enjoyable for me. Lots of strawberries that I use as ground cover, but there are also treats for me and sometimes for wildlife. So here I'm gonna show you, this one is Boscobel. It is just fabulous. Here it's Jean de la Fontaine. This is one of the late bloomers. It hasn't started yet. Here it's Scarborough Fair. It has started, lots of buds coming. Here it's Vanessa Bell. It was nice. And then, yeah, this one seems to be the same than the other one. And this is Penelope Lively. Just have a look at this beauty. And then another nicotiana. Spent irises. I had a nice purple show. Here it's Naibevan. It's very nice. My stipa, a poppy that hasn't flowered yet, penstemon, and then yeah, I've added a begonia with dark foliage just to have a pop of dark here, and then I have a pop of dark with a penstemon dark towers just there, and then a pop of dark there with a gora. And so here we have the rose, Olivia Rose. Just behind me is another Desdemona, and how gorgeous it is for its second season. And this one is growing just nearby this tree. So let's have a look at the roses in a close-up. Oh, and if you notice some pots like this everywhere, it's just a sign for me to remember that I've planted some seedlings there. So here it looks like the clary salvia that I was inspired to sow and plant by the gardeners from the perennial garden. It looks really nice, so I'm hoping for something nice in my garden too. But I've sown quite a few other things. So here behind the foxglove you can see other pots, and back there other pots. Yeah, sorry, it's hard for me to focus because I have a problem with my glasses, and at this time of almost sunset it's hard to see anything. But yeah, I'm really hoping you can enjoy what I get to see in my garden lately. Look at these views. I can't get enough of this. Oh yeah, these long stems in the center of the image, they're called Verbena bonariensis. They're growing near the pond. You wouldn't guess that. And it's gonna look nice too. Underneath the penstemon dark towers, I also wanted to show you this one called Centauré in French. And this is a variety that is not that common, with white around and a purple center. I'll find the name to put on the screen. But first, just have a look at this how do you say that? Hardy geranium. I didn't wrote the name, but it has started flowering and I love it. It has quite big flowers for a geranium. There's a bee enjoying the mini rose. It has an open center, so she's having a feast. So this will be my first Olivia Rose flower. Look how cute it is. Very tiny but cute. And the bush is healthy with glossy light green foliage. And here is the one called Naibevan. It's its first flower and I think it is so pretty. Another view of Penelope Lively, and this is an overview of the bush. It is full of flower all season long. This is going to be its second season. This one was Vanessa Bell. It's about the color, it's quite a very pale yellow when it's finishes, but it's not very vivid, not very bright yellow at the beginning. And then an allium, that's Scarborough Fair, and just have a look at Bosco Bell. What a beauty! And look how many blooms it has on it. And I've already taken out a few that was spent with the storm. So on the previous seasons, you'd had to wait a bit in between rose flushes. Here there's an iris that I waited for like 2 years, and I'm a bit disappointed by the hues. I was thinking about salmony pink, but it's more salmony orange. So yeah, not for me. And I have 2 now. That's one thing nice with this little tree, is when the sun is shining through. I also needed to document the blueberries. As you can see, I've got quite a few. So here we're in the front garden, trying to make the color pop. And here, so this peony is Bowl of Beauty. And then you have a rose called Eustacia Vi. And then behind there's a shrub, I think it's called Calliandra. I'm gonna try and show you a photo if possible. Then there's this bush, everyone knows the name, and I'm too tired tonight, so we'll see another time. But as you can see, it's in bloom. It's a very fragrant, yeah, it's a Daphne. It's very fragrant, but I can't smell it this year. And this is the side that I've been working on this year. And as you can see, slowly but surely, I'm adding some flowers. And I've added this pot with Californian pink lilac, escabiosa, strawberry, a nice butterfly decoration, and then there are these arums. This rose is called Jazz Festival, It is really, really nice. And then here's a rose called Isabelle Autissier. I'm gonna try and show it to you better. And back there is the beauty, Lady of Shalott, as you can see. How beautiful. So here is Jazz Festival from another angle. Big flower buds. Here, let me adjust. Here is Isabelle Autissier. Gorgeous big blooms. And here, Lady of Shalott. And behind Lady of Shalott, there's a clematis. And then there's my false jasmine that has started to bloom. And then we have a peony there that has started to bloom, but I'm not sure which variety it is. This bush full of buds is Silas Marner, but all the flowers have gone. I just have this next one coming, and then behind there's another gorgeous rose, and this one is called Danahu. The color is very difficult to describe. It's very dainty. At the moment it looks between peachy and cream, but sometimes it's apricotty, even orangey. And then behind we've got a fuchsia that was recommended by Mad about gardening. I think it's the second year, not sure. And what do we have here? A tomato. Here there's a yellow achillea that I've grown from seeds last year. And then here we have my first white peony. Don't have a variety, but it looks very nice. The blooms are starting to look spent, but they were gorgeous. I had 4. And then there's this rose that I wanted to get rid of. But look at this, very healthy this year. This is supposed to be called Adriana, but you don't find anything about Adriana rose online. And then behind it, there's a rose called Geoff Hamilton that I moved this autumn, and it's doing so good. Here's another view of Geoff Hamilton. Looking perfect. Adriana. Behind there's another elderberry. This one is called Black Lace, and this one is blooming. It's in a small container. I wasn't sure it was gonna stay alive, but it did, so I'm gonna try a bigger container. I have raspberries there nearby, a foxglove, a tiarella. Then here I'm trying to grow a dahlia that didn't make it last year called Islander. And here behind there's another Pineland Princess just in front of the achillea. And as you can see, another pot in the border. And these are daylilies, orangey ones. And I thought they would look nice near Lady of Shalott. So here's a view of the front yard, but don't have a too close look at it. But some the azalea and the rhododendron are past their best blooming season. Now we have the perovskaya coming up, the buddleia, the crepe myrtle. This is a white flowering one. But I paid something like €3 when it was small. And then there's the vitex, and then I've changed a few things in the planters. The railing ones, I've added snaps, geranium, not hardy, and petunia, white one. And I've just sowed today in there some dwarf sweet peas varieties. Behind the verbena there's a salvia in the next spot with an erigeron and something else, and then I'm trying a new tomato variety that's supposed to stay small and not looking up. It's a variety called Tumbler, and I already have a green tomato on it, and then I have a pepper there, and then here I need to completely move this pot away, this container, and plant something that is just on top of it. So I'm sorry I can't show you my face for the outro because it's gonna be too complicated with the camera, and my phone is full and it's a complicated thing, but please just enjoy the view and have a nice day, morning, night, wherever you're watching this. I'm hoping you can do some nice things in your garden or balconies, and yeah, see you in the next ones.